There we go. There's
We're live.
All right, we are live. Ladies, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it. What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to another session of the Gobble Club Podcast, the number one Polynesian podcast in the world. Oh, what is going on, everybody? We have a great show for you guys tonight. As you guys can see, we have a great panel of beautiful LDS Mormon ladies. Oh, we have a great show for you guys tonight. If you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for jumping on and be part of the show tonight. And for everybody out there who do like my channel, who do subscribe to my channel, always support me, always send me positive feedback. Thank you so much for all the love and support you always show me. If you love the content, appreciate what I do, and support the platform, you guys already know what to do. Press and smash that like, subscribe button real quick. Don't forget, we do have a disclaimer real quick. We're going to be having some adult conversations tonight about modern dating, sex, relationships. So we do have a disclaimer for everybody out there under the age of 18.
This content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18 without adult supervision. Please be advised.
Please be advised. So if you're a Mormon and you still go to the family ward, yeah, you need to go to sleep. This is for YSA, young single adults. Holy, you already know what it is. So thank you so much. Don't forget, we do have the live chat. It is a live show. It's always appreciate you guys joining in every single week. Always jumping on and dropping like your live and let me know what your thoughts on the live chat opinions based on the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. So don't forget, let's get that live chat going. Drop your thoughts, your opinions, and perspectives. I definitely want to hear from you guys and if you're watching this right now and you're LDS Mormon, drop your word, drop your mission. Let me know where you're from. Let me know which has the best mission, best word out there in the world. So let me know where you guys tuning in from. And if you're single, also drop that as well. No, nevertheless, don't forget, it is a public show. So I always advocate to encourage people to have open conversations. So I always want to encourage you guys to be part of this podcast as well. So if you guys want to be part of this conversation, want to come on and have a discussion with us and these beautiful ladies, I'm going to post the link on the live chat. I'm going to pin it to the top of the live chat so that way you can see it. And you guys can click on the link and be part of this conversation that we're going to have tonight. Don't forget, we do have the super chat donation. So everybody out there that always supports my channel financially with your pockets, thank you so much. You do that every single week for every single show. Much love to you. So if you do want to drop a super chat donation, the best way to do it is ask it through a question, ask it through a topic. So every donation that you guys drop on the live chat, I'll always take time to give you a shout out live on the show, but also we'll take time to ask the ladies and to respond to your question or topic. So if you want a question or topic that you guys want us to discuss live on the show at that moment, just drop it through a super chat donation, and I'll always prioritize that. And thank you so much for your love and always showing me support with your pockets. Thank you so much. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. As you guys know, I usually do a show on Wednesday and Saturday. So today's I decided to do a weekly show starting every single Friday, and we're gonna talk about relationships coming from a more traditional religious perspective. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to the beautiful ladies real quick for you guys joining us tonight and being part of the conversation. And of course, as you guys already know, if you guys saw the title and topic, all of us and these beautiful ladies are all LDS Mormons, and we're going to talk about today the dating culture today when it comes to Mormons and LDS. So yeah, it's going to be happy. We're going to have some great conversation tonight. I'm interested to hear the ladies' topics tonight. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. So I'm going to go right into it, ladies. I'm gonna ask you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick. Everybody out there, what's your name, age, what do you do, and what's your relationship status? I know a lot of men want to know, just in case. I'll start with you, Amelia. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, my name's Amelia. I'm 23. I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship for over a year now. Love my boy, Jaden. That's his name. I am a student in massage therapy right now, so I'm studying to be a massage therapist. And yeah, I'm not a member of the church anymore, but growing up I was, so I have a pretty good outlook on how being LDS affects dating relationships.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much. Amelia, I'm very excited to have you part of the show as well. I'm gonna pass it on to Jessica. Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
So I am Jessica. I live in Provo. I'm single. I'm also kind of post-Mormon, left the church about a year ago, but have dated a ton in the LDS world. I am a marketing specialist for a real estate brokerage and a home builder. I'm also 26. So.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you for joining us tonight. Next time to have you to be part of tonight's conversation. No worries, no worries. I'm gonna pass it on to Alexis. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hey guys, I'm Alexis. You can call me Lexi or Alexis, either one. I'm 19. I'm turning 20 April 1st, so in a week. And I am a social media manager right now for a YouTube channel called Crazy Middles, which is really exciting. I've been a social media manager for big YouTube channels before. Content creator, creative director, and I actually was a marketing manager for a real estate group
Very cool.
really recently. So I was like, whoa, look at that. Yeah, I'm engaged. I've been engaged to Parker Pratt for the past year. Well, we got engaged in October, but we've been dating for a year. And we're getting married September 1st. So that's like a year-long engagement, which is like pretty rare for LDS people. I'm still very active in the church, and I love it. But I always grew up being the only LDS person around. And so I have lots of friends that are outside of the church, and I'm very excited for tonight.
All right, no worries. And congrats on your engagement.
Thank you. Thanks.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much, Alexis. And last but not least, Keira, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hello. Okay, so I'm currently in school for elementary education, so I'm going to be a teacher. I'm 18. I'm I love the brain farts. I have a boyfriend and I am active in the church. I lived in Florida for most of my life, so like you, Alexis, I was like the only LDS person in the entire school, but I moved to Utah a couple years ago, so it's been cool to see the different experiences and how people interact and stuff. But yeah.
All right, no worries. All right, thank you so much, Keira. All right, but yeah, nevertheless, ladies, I just want to give you a special shout out real quick. All right, thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. We have a great show for you guys tonight. Everybody that's watching right now, let's get that live chat going. And like I said, if you love the content, support what I do, press that like and subscribe button real quick. So, ladies, hope you guys ready for the very first question. I got a hot question to start off the podcast. I always like to keep things hot, makes it more fun, makes it exciting. But yeah, well, this is my question. I know obviously there's a lot of people that's watching this right now, my content that probably not familiar with the church, familiar with LDS and Mormon. For me personally, like I'm a convert. I've been inactive for a minute now, but for me, it's just I want to ask you guys. The question I want to ask you guys is the one I bring up is like, what is according to your experience, what is like the dating and relationships within the Mormon church? You know, obviously, for me coming in as a convert and being Mormon, obviously I see there's a culture when it comes to relationships and if you're not familiar with it, coming from the outside, it may be like unconventional or sometimes weird. So it's very interesting for me just coming from the outside in, and coming from and just seeing how the relationships are and dating is within the Mormon space, within the Mormon cultures, and I have this conversation with my friends all the time. But I'm very interested to hear your opinion. Obviously, you guys live in the outside world, and see there's the outside world of what modern dating is, and then you have your perspective within the religion, the church. So, but that's pretty much it. What's your experience like? What's your thoughts on the modern dating, the dating culture within LDS Mormons? Is it and what is your personal experience is? And I'm gonna start off with that. And if you want to share anything, you guys want to share anything, you want to be part of that question. So I'll open up with you, Alexis. Alexis, what's your experience just in general when it comes to the dating culture of Mormons? When that's made. If people watching this right now, they want to learn. They want to know like what they don't know anything. They don't know what Mormons are, but they just want to know like what's it like dating within the Mormon space.
Okay, the first word that came to mind was very polarized, but I think what I mean is more that like it's two things in one. So what it is it's very casual and fun, and it's like, you can have a big group of people, guys and girls, and they go on one date one weekend, the next weekend they switch partners, and they go on one date the next weekend, and they switch people, because it's not very like commitment oriented until it is, right? So then it's like very fun and and then it's like, hey, we should get married. And so it's very like very free and then very, very committed. And I think and I think it's actually a really, really good thing, because the core of it is to find your eternal companion, right? That's the whole goal, is to like be marriage, right? But of course you want to know what you're getting into and make sure that you're with the right person. And so you have to like kind of serial date, to really know yourself, learn yourself at a very young age. So yeah, it's also kind of crafted probably more towards the extroverts of the world, because of how, rapid it can be, and how it's just like fun and energized it is dating and swapping so fast. So it's not necessarily like, at least the culture is not very like, okay, slowly get to know people and like slowly build that relationship out. It can be like Keira had mentioned, I think, like, you can know them since 8th grade and it like slowly develops. But like if you're at BYU and you're in the dating realm, and I was there at February 14th, it's like every day breakfast with someone else, we're gonna go study on campus with someone else, do this, and that's fun, because it's fun. You just get to like learn a lot of people, and then you don't get like very attached or heartbroken over something that you put a lot into, because you're on to the next person. But then the real ones kind of stick.
Okay. All right. So according to you, it's really, really fast, right? Like dating. Okay.
Yeah, my dad always was like, go kiss as many boys as you can, which is like the opposite of what most dads are like, because they're like, they get the shotgun out. But he's like, no. Go out, date a ton, because getting married at 20 was his worst fear for me. So, but there you go. So he just didn't want it to get very serious very fast, but what can you do?
All right, no worries. Yeah, I mean that's something I did notice when I joined the church. Everybody's the speed of how people get into relationships is so fast, and then people fall in love real quick, real quick. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty, coming from the outside in, it's pretty interesting just to see. So yeah, so thank you, Alexis, for sharing that. I'm gonna pass it on to Amelia. What do you think, Amelia? What's your experience like before?
So I guess to kind of understand like the culture, you have to understand the standards that it comes from. Kind of like Alexis mentioned, the goal of dating, but also like a huge goal just in general for members of the church is to marry someone in the temple. So that's like the big goal that everyone's working towards. And so dating is very important. And so like in the church, there's this thing called For the Strength of Youth. It's like a pamphlet for teens, basically, about different things. And there's a section on dating, and the dating section just basically advises to not start going on dates until you're 16 years old. And then even then, you're not really supposed to be like boyfriend and girlfriend or in a serious relationship. It's just kind of like getting to know people. And then once you're older and then ready to be more committed, that's when you start relationships. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the background of coming where dating comes from in the church. And so especially like when you're going to BYU schools or when you're in very heavily populated areas of where members of the church are, that's kind of how the culture is getting to know a lot of people, putting dating as a priority in life. And so I went to BYU Hawaii for like a year, and I went on a lot of dates, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't really like my style of getting to know someone, because for me, I prefer to be friends with someone for a long time and then move after that. But it was really fun because doing so, I got to see a lot of perspectives. At BYU Hawaii, there's people from all over the world, and so it was really cool meeting people from different cultures, different countries, and learning what it's like to get along with other people. So for me, dating was a really good learning experience.
Yeah. All right. No worries. All right. Thank you, Amelia. Yeah, you made a great point. I think sometimes what I see is I'm a big believer in dating first for like a long period of time before getting into a relationship. There's a difference between dating. Dating is just getting to know each other, right? But a relationship, that's when you both make a commitment and make it official. And I do often sometimes, because of Alexis said, the Mormon dating culture very like it's speed dating. So like, but people just skip the dating phase and you just go into the relationship. So I think so, but like I said, to each their own. But for me personally, I think it's it's good to know who like that person. You gotta committing to somebody is a big decision. So I think it's good to know them first, so that way before you make that decision. But yeah, thank you so much, Amelia. Thank you for dropping that. I'm gonna pass it on to Jessica. Jessica, what do you think? What's up? What do you think about the dating culture? Your opinion?
Definitely very interesting. I would say I'm very like kind of the opposite of like I mean this in the nicest and kindest way possible, but I don't fit the Mormon mold. I'm not blonde, I'm not skinny. I do have blue eyes, but I don't fit into that Mormon mold that like most girls in Utah do fit in. And I mean that in the kindest way possible.
No,
But
you're all good. I went to a BYU party and everyone was blonde, and I was like, what?
like I'm brunette. I had highlights for a while. That was the closest I could get to blonde. But and I kind of just like I've had kind of the opposite experience of I didn't date a lot in high school. I kind of just went unnoticed. Kind of the same in college where I was friends with a lot of guys, but I wasn't getting asked out on dates at all. And even like carried on, like I haven't dated a lot in my life. I've dated more since not being a member of the church than I was as a member of the church. And it's just kind of interesting in a different perspective of just not being the cookie cutter Utah girl. But I have met a lot of really great guys, and every guy I've ever dated has been married now, and they've been married for years, and I'm still single. So, but I don't want their relationships at all. I congratulate them, but happy I'm not married to them. So, yeah, it's just interesting, and it's kind of interesting how like we're taught to I guess we're taught to just like go on dates and get to know people, but also like things can escalate really fast within a first date. Like I've gone on a few dates where like we're going on a date, there's been no hand holding, there's been no hugging or anything, and then they go in for a kiss at the end, and I'm like, no, we just skipped a whole bunch of steps. Like that's not gonna happen. So I don't know. It's really interesting culture here. So I don't know. Yeah, just really interesting.
Okay, no worries. I want to ask you. I mean, I'm in Cali, so like I don't really know the what's it like in being dating in Utah. But I wanted to Jessica brought a point that there's this cookie cutter expectation what blonde woman. I want to ask the ladies like who have been to Utah. Is that a real thing? Because I mean that's the first time me hearing it. Is that a real thing? Is that the cookie cutter?
In Utah, there's like all
blonde, blue eyes girl.
Yeah, they're blonde. They have these really bad spray tans. That's kind
The
of
lashes.
like Utah girl.
Oh, I forgot all about the lashes. They all had their lashes done. That's funny.
Yeah, and yeah.
Because I grew up at a very, very diverse high school where like I was the only blonde girl in that school. It was all Indian, Asian, Native American, Black, like everything else but me. And so then I really noticed it when I went to Utah for like a week. I was like, everyone looks like me. I was like, what?
So funny.
I want to ask you. So, is that what the men are looking for? Like, is that I mean, is that more of just the dating culture of the ward you go to or the church, or is that like what the men prefer? Like, I'm because there's a difference. I want to ask you guys. Like, what are the men are saying? Do they want that type? Is that what they look for?
I think what I found interesting, I found that what they're looking for is an outdoor adventurous girl.
Yeah.
Every guy in Utah wants a girl that can like look hot looking, get all dirty and muddy and look hot, And so I don't
There's a
think
lot
like
of
I've never heard anyone that's like, oh, she has to be blonde.
there's so many of my guy friends.
Really?
Perfect blonde. Actually, I'm not my man's type at all. I'm naturally brunette, but long story, the people that did my hair messed it up, so I had to go really short, and blonde was just the better option for what they did. But I was brunette, and I'm not his type at all.
That's so funny. I've never known. The only people that are like I know like blondes are usually people that are like a different ethnicity, someone that's like darker. They usually like blonde, blue eyes. That's the only time ever. But I'm in Arizona, and it's a little different than Utah.
I find it really interesting because I've done the dating apps and everything, and like I've done like a couple like I do a little experiments because I find it fascinating where I've like swiped in different states or like across the country, and I get way more swipes outside of the state or the country than I do in Utah. Like I'm like apparently I'm really attractive outside of Utah, so I don't know. It's really
been
interesting.
statistically proven.
Either way.
Yeah.
All right. And also like ask Alexis, Amelia, and Keira, like have you like talked to other girls before like that were in Jessica's position, like they felt that they weren't part of the cookie cutter mold? Like, did you guys see that from other girls that had similar experiences from Jessica? Did you guys
I know more so guys actually. I wouldn't say like not necessarily like looks, but like the same kind of feel where they're like, oh, I'm like a quirky small guy, and so I'm not the fun like BYU soccer dude that can get all the girls. I'm just like an LDS guy hoping to get some dates. So more so like that.
Every dude in my high school that was LDS and stuff, no. Like a lot of us were like looking to find, someone that had the same values as us, and that's how they like weren't the cookie cutter. Like, actually, in a way, it almost makes them the cookie cutter way because it's like Utah, they say all this, but then it's like, oh, they're such good people. They read their scriptures, they post scriptures on story, and then they're like back behind the school like vaping, like like that. That's what my high school was full of with dudes, but with the girls, I feel like there wasn't as much judgment for the girls that I knew, at least if they like I had judgment. Someone's frozen. I don't know where that came from.
No idea where that came from. I was like, that was probably a reflection of your own voice, like an echo. That was like a scary comment. You like
all it said it was like judgment, and I was like, what?
Yourself.
Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, but I don't think, at least none of the people I chose to hang out with, I know definitely like the popular, obviously there's more judgment and not very kind people, but so I definitely see it where people leave people out because they aren't exactly what they want or something.
Okay. All right. No worries. All right. Thank you so much, Jessica. But I'll pass it over to Keira. Yeah, what's your thoughts on just the dating culture?
It's very picky.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of, especially in the Utah Mormon, because I didn't live in Utah most of my life, I saw like some people here, and you guys will probably know who I'm talking about. They're like, they think they know what's best and stuff like that. And so you'll find those people, and those will be the hard ones. But then, I don't know, like, and you also have to, it's very stereotypical because, like, you're supposed to date your like high school sweetheart. They'll go on a mission, and you'll go on a mission, and you'll come back and you'll get married. That was going to be my story. And then it's the other way, and you, dear John, and I don't know, it's just I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are so scared to not fit that cookie cutter and be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to be like be like absolutely perfect. Some people hold everything to standard. In reality, none of us are. None of us can be perfect like Jesus. It's impossible. And so people want to hold that to their relationships, me included. It's like my high school sweetheart relation. I held on to that for dear life because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But I didn't, and I'm happier now. And like happy for him, he's on his mission. But like, I don't know, it's just more complicated, I feel like, than the normal average dating because we take so much into account, like our religion. I don't know, at least for me, like Amelia said, it's the goal to get married in the temple. And like that's something that I value and I want a lot. And if I went on a bunch of dates in college and stuff like that, but if we didn't have the same core values and like end goal, it was like, well, why kind of waste time kind of thing. But yeah.
All
I think
right,
it's
all right.
also more intense because we're so young. It's pressed really early.
I was like, get married right now. Literally everyone in my grade is like engaged. I'm like, I'm 18. Why am I behind?
I know. And
I'm
it's
26.
funny because it was never my goal. I wanted to be 25, 26. It was like not at all. I was like, I will not be that girl.
I
So
am
that's really funny.
Date out here. Like I'm 26 and I am limited in my options.
Oh.
Okay, my cousin is getting married and she's 26.
Whew, there's
You're
hope.
good. You're good. You're good.
There's
Still
hope. But
great time.
it's funny because like outside of Utah and in any like outside of Mormon relationship, like that's totally normal to be like you don't get married at 18. That's crazy. And I'm like it's so weird. It's just such a weird dating bubble.
But it's also like something else that's really odd is like being engaged. It was so weird. I had like two opposite sides. I had everyone that I knew that was LDS minus my own family. Everyone else was like, you're going to make him wait 7 months? Or like, wait, you want to be engaged for a year? Or like, okay, so like it had to be within 2 months or else. And then my parents were like 5 years, but everyone else was like, okay, like a year is a good like long engagement. And so it's just funny,
like 3-month engagement max. They're like, we don't want like.
And I get both sides, and so it's just like really you just have to do what is best for you.
Find your own way.
And I was like, I need time. I'm not ready. I need time. And I'm not gonna be that girl that gets married and engaged and pregnant in like 3 months. I won't be me.
Literally my friend. She met this dude,
my friend.
and 6 months later, they've been married for like almost a month. I was like this, girl, what?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Whatever makes you happy. Makes you happy.
Yeah, that was something I noticed like when I first came in. I just noticed like people will get this relationship married within like the first month or 2 or 3 months, and coming from the outside that would be like crazy, but then I realized that was like a normal thing. I was like, oh, it's a normal thing. People are just like it's something that people do. So that was kind of that was something I kind of noticed. But yeah, thank you, ladies, for sharing that. We just opened up that topic for you guys. Thank you guys, for everybody out there that's watching. Press that like and subscribe button real quick, and drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. We're doing a lot of flashbacks right now. A lot of flashbacks right now. A lot of our experiences real quick. So, but yeah, I'm gonna pass it on to Amelia. Amelia, what's your question or topic that you want to bring up? And move there. Go ahead, Amelia.
Let's see. Oh, okay. This is a question. So I was thinking about like, for example, when you're in your teens, you go to dances, you go to church dances, and then when you're older, you start going on dates. And for me personally, I kind of grew up with the culture of if a guy asks you to dance, you say yes because he had to work up the courage to ask you to dance, which is a really scary thing. Like I get it, that's terrifying. Or like if a guy asks you on a date, and even if you're not really interested, you should still say yes to give him a chance because you never know. So I wanted to ask what you guys think of that culture of not really saying no.
I've never
like going into something not being interested, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. I never like had that pressure or felt that. I know that learning to say no was a really big and important lesson for me, and it was something that I learned on my own. So it wasn't necessarily like taught one way or the other for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely I had that experience of, if he asks you on a date, say yes. If he asks you to dance, say yes. And I feel like, looking at it back then, it wasn't as big of a deal as looking at you have the rape culture now and not being able to give consent or learning how to say no, and how important it is to have your own agency to say no in a situation that you don't want to be in. And I had an experience where I went on a date and I was really excited to go on this date. And the whole time I just had this feeling in my stomach where I was just I'm not safe in this situation. But my people pleasing mind was just oh yeah, we'll just go on this date and we'll just be fine. And I legitimately thought this guy was going to kill me. It had serial killer vibes for sure. But I ignored my own thoughts and my own agency and my own consent because of that position I was put in to say yes to this guy and to go on this date and to see who he really is. But and I feel like being taught that is very damaging in a way. Yeah, you should always give somebody a chance, but if you're just not feeling it, then you don't need to do it.
Yeah, I grew up the same way, especially stake dances, because we're 14, and so I think I just said in the beginning it wasn't as bad. The younger you are, the less world around you is corrupt, or at least you're more hidden from it. But definitely since I'd gotten older and started having boyfriends, the no was very, and I definitely think it's something that I feel almost our Utah culture is afraid to talk about a lot of things. You said, the rape culture and sexual assault and anything to do with sex, really. I feel a lot of parents, and they'll talk about it, but not really as in depth as people may need before they have to learn it on their own. And so I definitely think now at college, I'll tell whoever I want no, because I don't owe them anything. Of course, I think being respectful and a decent human being is an obligation, but I do think as you get older, guys are scarier. Some are great. Some are, or even girls can be scary. It works both ways. If there's any fear of your safety or that they're going to do anything to you, shut that down, because we're not doing that. We already learned our lesson.
Yeah.
I found that there's two different kinds of LDS guys when it comes to dating. The ones that are, very respectful and wonderful and will hold your hand first before going in for the kiss, right? And then there are the other ones that I don't contribute this towards the religion. It's definitely the person that chooses this way. But they'll use the religion against you. And they'll be very forceful or very sexual because they feel restraint and they didn't learn to maintain that balance. Yeah. And I've had, a guy that was I didn't feel comfortable. I crossed this line and now you need to go talk to your bishop about it. And I'm going to tell my parents about it. And I was like, whoa. And yeah, so for sure they can really make you feel awful and use the religion against you for things that they insinuated,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Guys be doing that? Guys be doing that? I didn't know. They use religion.
Yeah, they'll use it against you. And yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, God. Oh, I was gonna say, or they would say, "Oh, I had this revelation that you're gonna be my wife." So yeah.
Literally listed for promo 6 months ago.
That is.
Amelia, say that one more time, Amelia.
Oh, sometimes guys and girls will do this too, but they'll say, "Oh, I had a revelation that you are gonna be my wife or you're gonna be my husband, and so we have to date." Whether that's just hormones, or maybe they really do think that they had that revelation, or maybe they're just saying it. I don't know. Who knows? But it's a very common thing. A lot of people have experienced that.
Let me ask you, ladies, did that ever work on you guys ever?
I was like,
you did. It's okay. You ever work? Did you ever work?
Entertaining
Okay.
almost. It's like free TV. Just like
So
see where it goes.
Go ahead, Amelia.
I have like an embarrassing story about that. So I went on a mission and I hadn't had too much dating experience or experience with LDS dating culture because I'm from Minnesota where there's not many members of the church. So I was in the mission, MTC, and one of the elders told all of the other elders that he had a revelation that he was gonna marry me, and like, and then they told me, and I had never experienced something like that, so I was like, oh, am I gonna marry him? Is that like, is this what my life is? Like, he's my husband, and so I was like, kind of feeling anxiety over that because he was kind of a weird guy. But then I was like, well, if it's revelation, it must be true, right? But I figured out quickly, like revelation goes two ways, and that's not real. So I'm not with that guy, obviously. Yeah, that was really embarrassing on my part.
No.
Okay, all right, no worries. Yeah, if you guys are watching this right now, let me know what LDS men say. How if they ever use religion as a pickup line. As a pickup line. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear that. All right, no worries. Okay, yeah. I think also just like I think sometimes I do see for a lot of especially younger men, they lack the awareness to know if a girl is not interested, even if a girl says yes just because she's nice. But for me, like I can tell, right? I can tell basically the body language, the eye contact, her energy. I can just tell if she did it very politely. But a lot of guys I do notice they're unaware of that. They'll just keep going.
Mhm.
For me, once I notice that the energy is not there, the attraction is not mutual, then yeah, I just walk away. But I do see that a lot of guys, especially a lot of Mormon guys, they have no awareness. All right, no worries. Somebody's posted a comment. Damn, patriarchal blessings, man. Manifestation, huh?
Yeah, that's what he
It
said
said
it
your
was.
name
It was the
exactly.
physical
There.
blessing.
It's right there.
Oh, the patriarchal blessing.
That would be nice
All
though. Man, you just read it and you're like,
Here's the
Thanks.
name.
"Who's my searching?"
Oh.
right, cool, yeah. And obviously, you guys are absolutely right. Like if you don't feel the guy, then you definitely should not just say no, and then and it's up to you just moving on to the next person. All right. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for your question and topic. We'll keep it moving. Keira, what's your topic? What's your question?
Mine was I have like an air bubble in my throat.
Oh, yeah. Weird.
Tell me. Okay. Mine was kind of like what we brought up just a little bit earlier. I think Jessica brought it up, and then, but it was like, how uneducated, or at least in Utah, and anyone I had talked to, is like how uneducated, like LDS kids and like girls and guys would kind of go into like high school and stuff, and like some people would be like, I don't even know what's right and wrong. I don't know if I believe them. But like I wonder, like, how did you guys grow up? Because some people were just like, oh, well, we just figured out ourselves by like doing everything under the sun, and we're like, okay, after they repent. Or like some were just like, nope, barely even kiss with tongue. Like, how did you guys like? I genuine want to know.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. So your question is like, how do you know about sex? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, just like, how did you grow up? Like, did your parents like inform you all? Be like, okay, this is what like, because I mean, your parents know they were teenagers once. Everyone was a teenager. Like, did they prepare you to navigate through teenagerness?
Oh my gosh. My dad, we went on a road trip to Utah once to BYU, and he would point out the window as we were driving. Oh, that was one of my makeup spots. Oh, there was another one. That was a really good one. Oh yeah, I remember Sandra right there. He was like the BYU bachelor, and he was crazy. But like he didn't like to talk about relationships with me. Like he could talk about it with my friends, but like I was very much like sex. Like I would hate that word in front of my parents. I had the talk, the birds and the bees talk when I was 8, and I was traumatized, and I was like, I never want to talk about it again. I never want to. I was like, wait. I was like, no. It was bad. And so I think I really learned. I was very like extroverted. Like I liked to dance, I liked to be bold, and so I learned like how to be sensual and sexual through that. And I was very much the flirt, but I like learned things that you can't just learn through TV shows, I guess. Like from my friends. I had like a Jewish friend, and she was like, you know, would curse like a sailor, would say it to your face, and I'd be like, can you tell me what this is? She'd be like, are you serious, girl? I was like, please.
Literally in college, I'm like, what's this?
like 3 days ago, I'd ask her a question. But yeah, no, I am a big believer in like, you gotta try it out, but to an extent that you're very comfortable with. And I really had to learn to say no, and to draw back and be like, that was too far for me, and I'm not comfortable with that. But I'm a very confident, flirtatious person, so a lot of it was very natural for me. So yeah, and you know, your Jewish friend. That's how I learned.
Jessica, you want to share some thoughts?
Yeah. So like my parents divorced when I was 5. So, and like before that there was like rarely any like affection or anything shown between my parents. So I didn't like grow up with like a very healthy outlook on like how to be affectionate with somebody or like how to connect with somebody intimately outside of sex. And I also like thank heavens to never walk in on my parents having sex. Like, thank you.
Oh no.
It was just very interesting. So like my mom's always been my best friend, and like we had the talk right before 5th grade maturation, learning about everything, and I was also traumatized. And like we kind of just like we had the one talk and that was it. And like as like I got older, we would talk a little bit more about dating, but like the idea of kissing or holding hands or hugging or anything was just like not really talked about. And I felt like it didn't really have a very healthy outlook on any of it. And was scared to even think about it. Like I didn't have my first kiss till I was 19. And like even before that I held hands with my high school boyfriend. We didn't even kiss. And like I'd hug him, but like it was just very interesting, like the levels that you could go through while still like not quite understanding it in a way. So
yeah, I definitely had friends like, and that's why that's why I asked to see. So my parents, like we had, you know, the talk when I was like really little, but like they would always act like, oh, you would never make out right or anything. I just, you know, I wish that parents would kind of go through and like, so it's like healthy, like not saying it's like, oh, go have sex, whatever. No, like whatever your morals and standards are, like mine, I want to wait till marriage in the temple, stuff like that. So like, but just help navigate. So then it's like, you're not as scared and you're comfortable, because I think kissing is a good thing and it's can build an intimate relationship. And so I think them teaching a gooder balance is good.
Yeah.
That really reminded me of a couple things that my parents had said. My mom actually kind of brought that up. She's like, you know, a lot of LDS girls are very like kind of shy about those things and like don't want to, are afraid to like kind of open up. She's like, but after marriage, she'd be like, you know, you go do your thing. Like it is all hands on deck. Like all bets are off. And I was like, Lori, I was like, Mom. One time she came upstairs with all my friends there in the morning making breakfast, and she goes, oh, I hate morning sex. It's too bright. Lori, you can't say that. And my dad always, oh my gosh. My dad and I would like walk by someone and he would like a couple minutes later be like, he was cute. You should go make out with him. I was like, okay, all right.
You're like,
So yeah, they
you're
were
a
a
little
little
too
more
cookie,
bold.
Dad.
They were a little bold about it, which I liked because then I felt very like, you know,
It was
free
such
and
a hard
able.
topic to talk about.
Yeah, but
It seems like your dad was like very open about it. It's,
yeah. But
yeah.
like I would never like ask him for something beside like I would hear his stories, but I wouldn't say like, hey, I have this relationship problem or I'm interested in this guy. Like they never knew the names of the guys that I was dating or seeing or hanging out with because they always said there were too many for them to remember, but that's not really true.
We have the same joke. I think
I
it's just
didn't
a world
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 17. And my whole high school like counted down the days until I turned 16 and could date. And that was funny. I had one friend that like kept a countdown in my locker for 600 days. But more so it's just like, oh, innocent Lexi. And then I had my first kiss at prom in front of everyone. And I just made out hard. And they were like, whoa, innocent Lexi.
You mean I'm proud?
Yes. For 5
You were that
hours.
girl. I'm just kidding.
It was awesome. It was the best. Yeah, he was a
Right.
Filipino. And it was freaking awesome. So it felt good to be like, to strip that layer off and not be like innocent Lexi anymore.
Mhm.
And like, if I went to one graduation party and they were like, oh, Alexis effing Kunzelman is here because they felt that I was going to like judge them for drinking or something. I don't know what it was. But because I was the LDS girl. And so they all felt that like I was like judging them, which I never did. But yeah, anyways, that's my whole backstory. That's my whole life. So enjoy that.
No worries, no worries. What about you, Amelia? What you think? To Kira's question.
Yeah, so I think for me personally, I I don't know. I feel like for me growing up thinking about sex, I kind of felt a lot of shame around it because I don't know, like I've always been like a sexual person, like attracted and just things like that. And so, but growing up, for a while I felt like shame because you don't dwell on sexual thoughts. You don't do sexual things before marriage, stuff like that. So I'd feel a lot of shame surrounding sex. And it was really hard. And so I was thinking about this the other day and I realized I feel like I was more horny when I was a member of the church because of that shame stigma. And like now I still normal, but I feel like I was more when there's that like shame surrounding it, which is kind of weird. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like when you're not
You want
supposed
what
to
you
have
can't
things,
have.
you want
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you really need to laugh, but you can't laugh, so then it makes you laugh even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really had so much shame. But I feel like over the years I would get better about it. But then when I made the decision to leave the church, and then I was like, I kind of looked at my boyfriend and I was like, well, all right. Well, I followed all basketball. I guess
You're like,
so.
that's wrong.
And then, yeah, and so it's been really nice and very healing for me to see like this young girl who used to feel so much shame as a person about sex, and now this person who's just like very comfortable in sexuality and I just feel really good about myself. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I went through kind of a metamorphosis throughout my life with that.
Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's something that I think there's a lot of things that I think the church needs to talk on. And because, especially in Utah, there's way too much judgment. Way too much. But
Yeah, well, the thing is for me, like sex is a normal thing. It's part of our human nature biologically. That's how we procreate. That's how we make children. It's a beautiful thing. And feeling that sexual energy, that's what makes relationships great, right? When you can feel that sexual energy between the partner that you love, then you can consume it. And there's a healthy way to do it. And the thing is, a lot of times, what I noticed within the church is because we don't talk about it, a lot of Mormons don't know how to navigate it through a healthy way. And when you don't have that guidance to be able to learn how to express yourself and understand yourself sexually in a healthy way, then a lot of times we tend to do things that we shouldn't be doing or uncomfortable doing but we just feel that biological need, right? And I see that. That's one thing I noticed when I did convert and come into the church. Like every time the word sex came up, it was like everybody got so tense. Ooh.
Me.
From family, like
Yeah.
the thing is, like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a normal thing. That's how we create families. That's how we show love, affection to another, the person we love. But there's a way to do it in a healthy way, so that way it's a positive thing. But if you don't know what you're doing, sometimes it would tend to like end up people make bad decisions or listen to or do because we're just so listen, it's so built. It's so built into us, and we've been suppressed for so long, and then we explode.
Yeah, and I've seen I think a lot of dudes have a lot of same, are a little more open, I think, about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially in and any of the girls that I know, and you guys can correct me, I'm just assuming off of experience, but like sexual stuff takes a bigger toll on the female. Like she almost beats herself up more because they feel worse. Like, because it's in a relationship, we're not supposed to do stuff before marriage. And then if they do, then it's like, I did something so wrong and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of my friends make those mistakes. And I think because they put so much pressure, but then it's also like, you can repent. It's just a hard situation. But I definitely think, at least with my guy friends in high school, they were a lot more relaxed with it. Like, they were like, oh, well, I'm going to go have a good time. Like, they don't have as much guilt.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, ladies, when it comes to sex, because I know like men and women were different. Like for guys, sex is more physical for us. For women, sex can be more emotional. So like when you guys, obviously it's a normal, natural way of humans to feel that sexual energy. But do you feel like that when you have that urge, like when you feel that sexual urge within yourself, is it more like do you want the physical part of it more, or do you want the emotional part of it more? Like I'm just interested. Like, is it more physical for you? Like, do you just want to have sex with the person you love, or is it the emotional part, like by having sex with them, like the emotional connection you feel with the guy? What's more important to you as a woman? Go ahead, Amelia. I'll start with you.
As a virgin. Well, it's really like I would never want those things if it wasn't with the person that I love or with the person that I've been like really, really committed to. And it takes like a long time to like really ease into those things. So it's never like I get the urges and I need to just like go kiss someone. It's always like it's so much more beautiful when it blossoms with that person. And also I've noticed like if you get kind of into it for like a couple days and you're doing stuff for a couple days, like it kind of loses the appeal versus if you had waited and let it simmer and you just, or they do something you really love them. And then, those are always the ones that like really pay off more. So love.
Like holding, like I think Jessica brought up like holding hands, right? Or like with the guy, like, for guys, like holding hands is just holding hands. Like there's nothing else. It's just the physical. It's just what she wants. I'll just hold hands. That's how guys think. But for girls, like when you hold hands, it's like that feeling, that emotional feeling. Like you feel that you're with your guy. You feel safe. You feel protected with this guy. Like that's what I'm talking about. So because men and women, we see things differently. So like so when it comes to like things that's touching, affection, that's like more physical. Is it do you love the emotion part of it more, or is it still physical for you? That's my question. What do you think, Jessica?
So I think I can kind of go either way. And it kind of just like it kind of, I've tracked it down to like my cycles basically of like it's so
explain everything.
Like everything. Like when I'm on my period or when I'm ovulating, I'm like, I want the physical connection, like take care of me basically. But like any other time, I'm like, I want the lovey-dovey romantic moments. But and it also like I was diagnosed with bipolar, and in my moment of mania, all of that like any like caution is thrown out to the wind. Like it doesn't even register in my brain. Like I'm out doing whatever. And like in those moments, it's all about physical. And like I've policed myself very carefully not to go out and do things like promiscuously, but it doesn't stop like the power in my brain of like creating scenarios or doing something stupid, like just thinking about it in my brain. But yeah, I feel like for me personally, like I could go either way.
Okay. All right. No
I,
worries.
I like the ovulating comment because I did notice that recently. I was like, my ovaries are so attractive to
Ah!
you.
It's like we're expecting a
Like, I
baby
apologize
now.
in advance. I apologize in advance for my
Oh my
good
gosh.
behavior this week. That's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
All right. No worries. All right. Yeah. Anybody else want to add on to that question, to Keira's question?
Yeah, I guess kind of adding on to like the physical versus emotional. For
Okay.
me, in my experience, usually I have to have an emotional connection first in order to enjoy like the physical connection with someone. Like, okay, so you guys all know what NICMOs are, right? NCMO, non-committal makeout. It's like I consider it like the Mormon version of a one night stand. Basically, like, oh, we're gonna make out, but it doesn't mean anything. Anyways, I like had not had experience with that because in Minnesota or outside of the church you don't call it NICMO, you just call it kissing someone. But I remember one time at BYU Hawaii, this guy who I wasn't even super close with, just like kind of friends with, he messaged me out of nowhere. And he's like, NICMO? And I was like, and I was just thinking about it because I didn't really have like an emotional connection with him. And I was like, that would be so awkward. Like, what, like, do we just like meet up and then we'll just like walk and be like, all right, let's get started, you know? So
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I definitely like need an emotional connection with someone before I would feel comfortable.
I have a story
Like doing
for you.
I love
Go.
There was my very first kiss was a NICMO, and
Wait,
it
wait. I know there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that may not be viewers of. They may not be Mormon. What that is?
yeah. So like Amelia said, it's a non-committal makeout. So it's just like all you do is kiss, and that's as far as it goes.
With no feeling.
No feeling. But I'll walk you through how this would went down. Where I matched with this guy on Tinder, and I was like, I was also like, it was the middle of winter. I was super depressed, and I wanted to feel something basically. And so I invited him over to my apartment, and which was stupid. I mean, come on, this dude off the internet invited over to my apartment. It's so dumb. And my roommate and her boyfriend were there, and we watched The Emperor's New Groove. And we sat on the couch, and then we were sitting on opposite sides, and then we got somewhat closer, and then we got closer, and then we like were under the blanket, and he held my hand, and then the movie ended, and my roommate and her boyfriend went and they said goodbye, and they kissed on the front porch, and then I walked him out, and he like kissed me, and I wasn't really expecting it, but like it kind of progressed a lot further than I thought it would, where it was just like he like pinned me up against the wall, and I was like,
Spicy.
Oh.
but like we started the night off with a handshake, and now we're like making out on the front porch, and it was so weird. And then he left, and he like messaged me the next day, but I had like so much internalized guilt about it, of like, I feel so guilty for just kissing this guy. Like, I need to go talk to the bishop. Like, I am so guilty. And I lost sleep. I couldn't sleep for days because I felt so guilty about kissing this guy. And finally, I didn't go to the bishop, thank heavens. Like, I worked it through in my brain. And like, it was just, I would never ever do it again in my life. And it meant nothing. I felt nothing because there wasn't that emotional connection there. But yeah, it was.
I completely agree with you guys. Like, I've never had a NICMO. I've never wanted to. All my friends in high school did, but I definitely, and it's almost like I have to love them before I'm even like I hate the word horny.
Yeah. I wish there was a more delicate word for it.
I know. I'm like all of it. Just no. I was
aroused. Aroused. There you go.
That's even worse.
But yeah, like yeah, no. If I didn't love them, then it was like I literally don't. When I had my first boyfriend, so when I had my first kiss, I beat myself because I was 15. And
Oh,
you're supposed to wait till 16. And so oh my gosh, I bawled my eyes out for days because I was like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't tell my mom and anything. And but like,
Oh.
I was like, maybe I just don't like kissing. I was like, maybe I'm just not a sexual person. No, it's just
no.
But yeah, so
I also noticed it was like way different for me. Like it was way different for my older sister versus me versus my little sister. Because my older sister, my parents were like, okay, we will pay you $5,000 if you can make it out of high school without kissing someone. She did it and went on a trip to Europe. And for me, I didn't get the deal because my dad was like, wait a minute. If someone pays you $5,000, they can kiss you. So isn't that being a prostitute? So they got the deal. He was like, prostitution? And I was like, what about the deal? And then my little sister was like 12 and she was like, I kissed 2 boys at the grocery store today. So it was way different. Yeah, and she's like, she kissed someone like 6 months after my first kiss. She was like, I was like, oh my gosh, Zoe. She's like 6 years younger than me. But yeah, so that was funny.
Yeah. What Amelia said is absolutely true. Like for most women, majority of women, like it's within your nature. Like you wanna emotionally connect with the guy before you go physical. But for us, it's different. Like we just think of the final final destination. We just want the physical part. So yeah, but most women, like that's why guys, like it's important to touch her hand. Give her, like, do little things that make her feel special. That's one of the healthy things they should do, just to like build up that sexual energy. I think somebody posted on the comments, you let a guy hold your hands under a blanket, that man's sexual hormones are firing on all cylinders.
He did hit up a week later wanting to meet up again. Nope.
Yeah. All right, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much. Keira, that was your question, right?
No, that was your question, homie.
Was that your question?
That was your question.
That was your question, homie.
Oh yeah, I think originally, right?
Yeah,
Like sex in general, right?
What did you say, Amelia?
Oh, I think it was like originally like a question about sex in general, and then we'll brought up a question like about emotional versus physical.
Oh yeah. I was talking about like the last person that the part of that was Keira. I was just trying to keep track. Got you. All right, I will pass it on to Alexis. Alexis, what's your topic and what's your question?
Oh, very nice. Well, the good thing about being 2 doors down from your fiance, he comes and kisses you goodnight, and that was very fun timing. Well, my question is like, okay, if dating and religion, non-religion, all these things are all fun, but I think the whole purpose of it is like, okay, are you fulfilled in life, right? Are you really joyous? Are you happy? Is this like fulfilling you? So I always think of like, okay, if the goal is eternal marriage with your companion, like how many people are actually happy with that? Like, are you actually, like, how many people have successful marriages? So I was like, okay, what about the divorce rates? Are divorce rates any different between LDS and non-LDS? And it's interesting because the research you find can be like it's hard, they don't have like solid research of like the whole United States as whole. But there are certain areas where it's like, okay, I found one was 17% and one was 14%. And a study done in the 1980s was 14%. So that's like kind of the number that I'm going with, is the number of divorce rates. And as you guys probably know, it's like 50% right now, normally nationwide. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, do you think like, oh, okay, maybe there is something to this whole culture? Maybe it's like actually is contributing to happier, healthier, successful marriages? Or do you think it's just like, no, it's just like a different route to the same inevitable end of like, you have a 50-50 chance?
Okay. All right. So what Alexis is asking everybody, what's your thoughts about marriage? Even though, as a nation that it's marriage sucks right now in America. It's over 50% divorce rate, but at the end of the day, everybody's still trying to get married. So what's your thoughts about marriage in general? Even though in America, statistically, it's we're failing at it as a country. I'll start with you, Jessica. What's your thoughts about marriage?
I would love to be married. That's definitely my goal. But I do think I think last time I heard it, like the Mormon divorce rate is fairly similar to the national divorce rate. And I think like it's very interesting because like in my dating age right now, the last 4 or 5 guys I've gone out with have all been divorced, and they're all divorced LDS guys. And I think it's just kind of interesting of like they got married early. It's also interesting they were all married for about 4 years, which I think is kind of interesting as well. But it also like it kind of just boiled down to like what they wanted out of life, and kind of like either becoming more active into the church or becoming less active in the church. And I think this kind of goes back into my topic that I was going to bring up of just like being prepared for sex and marriage, where a lot of the guys that I had been out with like felt like they were kind of gypped in their marriage of like, oh yeah, the church teaches you like everything's going to be fine with sex afterwards, but then as women, like our sex drives have been like just like pounded into the ground, and then it's supposed to automatically change with marriage, and it doesn't, and that expectation's kind of gone. So I don't know. I think it's really interesting. Like I think marriage is a wonderful idea, and I think it's difficult when you rush into it with expectations that it's going to make everything okay, and it doesn't. So I don't know.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you, Jessica. What's your thoughts, Amelia?
I think that the reasons that there might be a lower divorce rate in the church is because while marriage is like the biggest goal in the church, it's also one of the most serious things in that it's tied with so many other things. Like, because getting married in the temple is how you are exalted, like for the next life. And you can't be exalted unless you're married in the temple. So now you're taking like a relationship between two people, and not only is like the relationship with each other at stake, but your, like your temple worthiness, your exaltation is also at stake. So I think that's something that might tie into it, maybe convinces people to stay in marriages more, or like put more work into it, try to make things work. I also think because sex is also prohibited outside of marriage, that's what maybe convinces people to stay, because if they were to get divorced, they wouldn't be allowed to have sex unless they're married again, or things like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think just because the stakes are a little bit higher when it comes to marriage, and it's a little bit more serious when you have to get divorced, especially if you want to, like for example, break your ceiling to someone, it's just more to have to do, and so people work a little bit harder.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Emily, for sharing that. And Keira, what's your thoughts about marriage?
Yeah, I think I agree a lot with Amelia said. It's a bigger deal in our religion. I guess like it's put on such a pedestal, kind of like that. And I know how a lot of people say in the real world, they're like, oh, marriage, it's like it's death to us part. But how we do it, it's like your eternal companion, like after death. And so I mean, like I know more people that are divorced that aren't LDS than I do. So, like, from my personal experience, I do think that there is a lower percentage. And I think, I don't know. Like, I personally would never want to get divorced. And I don't know, maybe as people grow up, you said they put in more effort. Not saying that people outside don't, but since it is a bigger deal, it's like, well, I don't want to get into like I chose you for like all time and eternity. Like, let's pound this thing and figure it out. But
No worries. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I think in America it's like we have a 50% divorce rate, um, and the average marriage lasts about 7 years. And of course, the younger you get married, the more likelihood that rate increases. And then the shorter the amount of time you know each other before getting married, the likelihood also increases to get divorced. I think one of the problems with marrying at an early age, you just because what happens is when you number one is a lack of experience. There's a lot a lot of people because we live in a social media world. A lot of people see marriage as just like Disney fairy tale. You just get married happily ever after. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of effort you have to put in. There's a lot of things that you have to put in with your partner, and a lot of times people are not ready for that. Not only you have to be, yeah, marriage is gonna test you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. It's gonna, and then you have to be able to be with somebody that you guys both have the same goal and want to better yourselves and grow. And also, what happens is when you get married to somebody, you're gonna grow, and sometimes people outgrow each other. So like who you are at 18 is not gonna be the same person you're gonna be at 25, at 30. So sometimes like you fall in love with the person that at 18, but then that person you fell in love with at 18 is gonna change when she becomes 25, and then a lot of people will outgrow. So so that's just one. I mean, getting married is just one of the things I do see getting married early is just a lot of people aren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
Prepared for it. So they go into it and just like, dang. And now you're forced into something that you had. We just had a conversation on this podcast. Like, we don't talk about sex, and sex is a big component on marriage. You have to be able to sexually satisfy each other in a healthy way, right? But like, if you've never had to talk about sex, you've never had sex, you just get married, and there you go, figure it out. All right, then you're gonna struggle as a person. So this is one of the cons of getting married early. That's why for me, like I brought up in the beginning of the podcast, I believe in dating and getting to know that person. Spend a lot of time getting to know that person, know their behaviors, know their goals, know who they are, who they want to be years from now. See their flaws, see the things that the best side of it, but also see the worst side of it, right? Because a lot of times when people young and early, you only see the best version of themselves. You've never seen their worst. You've never seen their flaws
That's
or
why
the
I
worst.
think, like we were saying
Right.
earlier, like being friends for a long time or something like that also helps. And like my parents got married at 19. Everyone thought but like it's helped me see another side because my best friend is getting married this summer, same age as me, and it is a little crazy, but it helps. I know how my parents explained it. They were like, because like people can grow apart, and
Yeah,
they
exactly.
grow different people. But how she was like, it's like, well, think about it. Like if you're together with all stuff, like if you're doing a healthy relationship, you're communicating, you're working, and at the beginning, you know what goals you want to get to, and you have those set in place and stuff. You'll kind of grow together as you grow up. So like that's another way to look at it, and I think that's maybe why people get married young sometimes, but that's just how my parents kind of looked at it. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
as someone that's like
go ahead.
doing that, right? And as someone that never wanted to be that girl, was always like, okay, 25 at least. I was really like, okay, I have to not be in the fantasy bubble, right? I can't just be like, oh, it's a happier ending and this is great. Like, I had to be like, no, be freaking serious. Like, if this is wrong, you are leaving, you are running away. And so I was like, okay, I had to like tackle what it is to be married, right? And it's got to be, you have to be able to know every like little detail. Like, what is their retirement goal? What does their retirement look like? Because
bougie.
yeah, like, yeah, like, is it what kind of, where do they see them? Yeah, there you go. It's true. And like all the little nitty-gritty details of can you grow with this person? Have they seen you in all 4 seasons? Like, there was one guy that like I dated for like a month, and he's like, let's get married. I was like, you haven't even seen like my freckles come out in the summertime yet, And that was a big thing. And that's like, it's very symbolic of a lot of other things. It's like, you don't even know. Like, my favorite thing to do is swim in the lake, and you didn't know that,
You wash your hands after going to the bathroom. Important things.
Yeah. Important things. Yeah. And just like I'm very grateful. I met my fiance when he was at his very lowest point, and then I promptly went into the worst year of my life and had like horrible things thrown and like anxiety attacks and just like family trials and family emergencies and like everything was thrown at me. And he was there every step of the way. Because I had asked, I was like, all right, God, I need to know that I can make it through hell and back with whoever I'm going to marry. And so he gave it to me, and I'm so grateful. And you know, talking to a lot of people, they're like, you can't go into the marriage thinking that it's going to be butterflies and rainbows. It is agonizing, and it is war, and it is hell. And when you have that expectation going into it, it is the greatest thing you'll ever do. And so it's really like you have to like bunker down. It's not
the worst.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, you run away with your Prince Charming. No, it's picking someone to survive life with, right? Who would you want to be stranded on a desert island with? And that is your person. And then you stick with them because you will not survive if not, you know. Now, of course, you know, maybe you pick a bad person and things happen and you get divorced, you can survive and you'll be fine. But you have to go.
It's like that's the goal. You don't go into it being like, I'm gonna prepare for it. Like, I want divorce. No, I get it. Like,
and
when you're moving, it's 1 a.m. You're still trying to pack up everything. You're both tired. You're grumpy. You're hungry. You're gonna get done. Like, are you guys gonna look at each other and be like, I love you? Like, we can do this. Come on. Or you can be like, screaming. Like, who's gonna be there for you?
Exactly. And I heard this quote once that was like, when you're dating someone, look at them at every single thing they do with your eyes wide open. And when you're married, keep them half shut. And I love that. I love it. And I knew everything. I was like, I know everything. The first time I met him, I said, here are your flaws. I know you. I know your personality type. I've dated so many versions of you. It's like, I know you. It's like, this. And I was like, I will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. And when you keep the bar raised, if they don't mean it, you say, not dealing with it. And if you keep it there, they'll surpass it.
Speaking of straight facts, this woman.
No worries. I have this comment real quick. Said marriage is looked upon as this is the key for happiness. It's not, but it is the best foundation for genuine and fulfilling life when both parties are always striving to be better for each other. All right, thank you for that comment, Daniela. No, that's something I noticed today in America, like because of Disney and the Disney fairy tale. I do notice a lot of people they want to get married because they think that's going to make them happy. So so their happiness is predicated on marriage. And for me personally, like I don't think people should get married because of happiness. I think people should get married for a purpose. And I think that's one of the reasons why like our parents and grandparents, their marriages lasted longer because they didn't get married because of happiness. They got married because they had the same purpose. Like they wanted to get together, they wanted to have children, they wanted a family, but they had their purpose aligned. And I think when two people come together to have purpose, because let's be honest, like happiness, it comes and goes. Like you can be happy today, tomorrow you can be sad. So if you predicate your marriage on happiness, you're gonna be surprised for a rude awakening because there's gonna be a lot of days that you're gonna wake up and not be in love or hate your partner. But there has to be something there to keep you with that person, and that's why purpose comes on. Like if I'm gonna get married with a woman, I'm not gonna get married with a woman that makes me happy because I take that responsibility for myself. Like that's my responsibility to be happy. But I'm gonna marry a woman that has the same purpose and goals of what she wants out of life, especially when it comes to relationship with me. So I like kids. I want to build a big family. I want to build a strong family. I want to build a family that we can give our kids a better life. And so I'm looking for a woman that has that same goal and mindset and willing to go down that same path. And I'm not looking for her to make me happy. That's something that I already take that responsibility. And but when we do those things together, when you work, you guys all know this. When you do things within your purpose in life, do things that have meaning. When you do things that has a positive impact into the world and the people around you, the byproduct of that, you feel good. Like when you do good things, when you're kind, when you do good things, has an impact in your life. Like you feel good, and that byproduct is happening. So I'm not going to get married. Okay, if I get married, I'll be happy. No, I want to find a woman that we have the same purpose, and we have the same things, and we want the same things in life, and we're gonna work on those things every single day, whether it's good, up and down, worse, good. But when we do those things over long periods of time, like that's how we're gonna. We naturally want to be naturally happy, and the joy comes out. but I think people go into marriages and long-term relationships. Because I remember I had a conversation with my dad one time, and I asked him, like, would you ever leave your mom? Like my mom, and because sometimes we'll get into arguments or you have those things, but like it's like, man, don't you want to leave sometimes? And he's like, no. I mean, we have our arguments, but like in his mind, that he could never fathom the thought of leaving, because he just felt this purpose, like this. No, my purpose in life was to be with your mom and have children and be with her, regardless of the things we go through. Like that's like me leaving your mom. Like that's not possible, right? So, but today in America, it's like people, lack purpose. People lack growth. People are not working better themselves. So like, you just do things because that's what everybody else is doing. And I do see that when purpose in a relationship, if you guys not doing it for a specific purpose or vision of where you guys are going, then when things get hard, you're gonna break. So that's why you guys gotta have that strong foundation. I think purpose is one of them. So, but yeah, I just want to throw that in there. Yeah, happiness. Yeah, whenever I meet a woman, it's like, yeah, I want to get married. I hope you make me happy. I'm like, oh, time to go. I'm like, because if you're looking for me to your happiness, then I know like, oh, there's a lot of issues within this girl. If you're looking for me to fix her problems eternally, to make you happy, I was like, man, you've had some bad experiences, and I'm not here to make you happy. That's hurt. I gotta find somebody that's really happy with themselves. I'm really happy with me, and we find joy in being with each other. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Daniela, thank you for that comment real quick. Ladies, do you have anything to add to that conversation before we move on to the next topic? Go ahead, Alexis. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a very crucial topic for this point in my life. So the attitude that I have is that any problems that you have now will just be amplified in marriage. It's not going to be solved. And so there was a time where I was like, okay, I do live a very, very long distance away. And I was like, yeah, that could be solved with marriage. But I was like, no, you have to gain the patience and do the work and, take the time, take the year, too bad. And that will fix the problem, not marriage. And also just a lot of, like you had said, like you have to, it also is a matter of identity. I found that people with successful marriages are people that identified as people that devoted themselves to marriage, that wanted marriage, that wanted to have a successful marriage, right? And those that don't usually don't have that identity trait. I always think of Carl from Up, right? Part of his identity trait is that he loves his wife. That is just like who he is. That is just his core. And so I was like, I'm going to find one of those kind of people that their core is, I want a successful marriage. Yeah, it's just like a really. Have
you guys ever met people with strong purpose in life? Like, they're very driven, and they don't like whatever they believe in. They'll do anything to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Also, you also meet the reverse, right? Have you ever seen people who have no purpose in life? Right, when things get hard, like they buckle under the pressure and they give up so easily. But if you notice people who will have clear purpose in life, they don't give up. Like they know what they want. They've made it a commitment in their life that this is what I want out of life, and there's nothing's gonna stop me to make that happen. And that's what happens when you have purpose. But if you don't have that purpose within your relationship, and you're just like then like it's gonna fail because life is hard. It's a struggle. It's gonna happen eventually. But yeah, man. Yeah, Alexis, I mean, you're dropping some bombs, Alexis. Dropping some bombs tonight.
I got two more for you, okay? Anything worth doing is difficult.
Yeah,
anything worth doing is hard. And the other one is that love, no matter what, if it's good, bad, healthy, ugly, any of that, it is always going to come with pain, but you get to pick your pain. So if you pick a terrible love for you, you're going to end up with abuse. You're going to end up with low self-confidence. You're going to end up with blah, 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 blah. Or if you pick a love that's good for you, you're going to end up with mourning and longing and missing all the, you pick your pain and stick with it and love it and keep it, hold on to it. Yeah.
All right.
So that's what I was just going to say.
Make me feeling,
enlightened. Thank you.
I figured out who you look like, Alexis. You look like my cousin.
I need to see her now. You'll have to send her to me because we're friends on TikTok now. But no one ever says that I look like people. Like I don't have a celebrity look-alike, and so I've always wanted that.
Legitimately look so much like my cousin Maddie, the one that's literally getting married.
I could see like Sydney
it's marriage.
I could see that.
Wait, who?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Cassie.
Yeah, she looks like Cassie.
Oh, from
Euphoria. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that, but I've never seen the show, which has incredible
Oh,
cinematography
right.
in my mind. Ooh.
No worries,
Is
no
it?
worries, ladies.
Think it-
Yeah, if you guys are watching this right now or live, thank you so much for watching, tuning in, and press that like and subscribe button real quick. But I guess it's back to me. Has everybody had a turn to bring up their question or topic? Right. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Jessica, did you go?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
okay.
think-
Sorry.
Oh, we did mention it, but you never like. Okay.
Yeah, I
directly
was like-
stated it.
So like my
Yeah.
my
Go ahead.
question
Jessica, go
was
ahead.
more about like kind of like how the idea of chastity was, or like virginity in your upbringing. Like in mine, it's like virginity was like the biggest thing ever. And like in my friend group, I remember going to bachelorette parties where they were getting married and they were like giving them the like candy bras and stuff for their wedding night. And I was mortified to be there. Like I could not even imagine like the idea of just having it. And then friends of like telling stories of their wedding nights of just like sobbing in the bathroom afterwards because they had like lost this thing that was held so dear to them. And I just, what is your opinion on that? Or like, have you ever felt that way? Or like, what was the idea of virginity and chastity taught to you?
All right. Great question. Thank you for bringing it up, Jessica. Go ahead, ladies. You guys want to start off and answer that? Amelia, go
I mean,
ahead. Go ahead, Amelia.
I can always start.
Go ahead, Amelia. Go ahead, Amelia. I'll let Amelia go.
Let's see. Yeah, so I kind of had mentioned earlier, I really grew up with shame surrounding sex, shame surrounding like sexual feelings, like actions, everything. Like the church very much prohibits not just like sex, like like when you think of sex, but like sexual acts between people, and also like things like pornography and masturbation, but like all of those things. Everything surrounding sex is like a no. And so there's a lot of shame surrounding a lot of those things. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I just grew up like with a lot of shame, but also like excitement. I was like, I'm so excited to get married so I can finally have sex. I was kind of the opposite. Like I'd be so jealous when I'd be like, oh, I just can't wait so I can have sex when I'm married. I was very excited for it, even though I felt all that shame. And I wanted to get married so that I wouldn't feel that shame surrounding sex, because I felt like then I would be allowed to have sexual feelings and I'd be allowed to do sexual things. And yeah, and like I remember like thinking things like thinking there was something wrong with me, thinking I was like an addict or something. I would like go to my bishop and I'm okay, how much am I? Okay, yeah. So anyways, I'll just share. So I would like masturbate once and then I'd be like, I am the worst person in the world. And I would go to my bishop and I'd be like, I have this addiction. I'm like addicted and I'm a terrible person. And then yeah, like the thing, you can't take the sacrament. There would be times in my life where like I wasn't allowed to take the sacrament. Sometimes I would, depends on the bishop. So for me, there's a lot of shame around it, but yet also excitement for what was to come when I was finally married and able to do those things. But then when I did finally have sex, like shame free, because I had left the church at that point, and so I didn't really feel that same shame about it. It was like it wasn't like fireworks, like wow, this was the most amazing thing in my life. But it was nice, and it was really nice to finally like be in a place where I didn't feel shame about it. So yeah, I kind of that went long, but I hope that makes sense.
That was great.
That was great. Thank you for sharing it, Amelia. Yeah, everybody has that skipped sacrament because they had some lustful thoughts. Yeah, everybody has gone through that. That's hilarious. All right, thank you, Amelia, for sharing that. Alexis, what's your thoughts, Alexis? That question.
Well, yeah, one thing is like, yes, there's a lot of kind of negative feelings with good and bad choices in life, or whatever you define those as. But it's like, yes, there's shame and there's guilt and there's all these things. And I think as we're younger, we're more prone to those feelings. Like, you know, you don't want to be like the bad daughter or whatever else. But there's a purpose behind them, and there's a reason why the church has made the statement that it has on our levels and standards and things. But also there's some statements that we don't really hear about. Like there was one, I wish I knew his name, but there was one like Quorum of the 70 that's like really, really recommended to stake presidents that they sleep with their wives. He's like, please do it. Like, keep them happy. And you know, those things that they don't like talk about. And like my mom always said, she was like, after it's like all bets off. Like after you're married, like all bets off. And she wanted to make sure that I was very comfortable with it. And she was a doctor, so she would talk more than I wanted her to about it. So I was able to like speak and talk about it and ask questions from a very medical perspective and not feel like guilty about it, which was a nice thing. But I'm also really, really, really glad that I had that standard of keeping myself clean. I do believe it is keeping yourself clean and keeping that purity, because hookup culture is very damaging, and I know a lot of people that are more so a victim of that than a feeling of shame. It's more so, it's like, it's something to be proud of, to like keep yourself, and you choose when that goes, you know. And I don't know, I never thought of my virginity like that, like you had said, Jessica, like hearing friends like crying in the bathroom like the night of, like losing your purity. I don't think that's it at all. If anything, it's like, that's like, you've won, right? That was your choice. That was your like your ability to exercise your freedom, being restraining and then not. So I don't know. I was just very, very grateful, because I got to pick and choose, and it was really fireworks, you know, to the extent that I have gone, because it was my choice. So.
All right. I wish I had a fireworks sound effect. Press right now. I guess I'll do that. I'll press that.
I feel like honored. I feel like I get the most sound effects. It's a competition now.
All right, no worries. Thank you for sharing, Alexis. What's your turn, Keira? Go ahead, Keira.
I feel like my experience is probably going to be different than most. So, like you said, I mean, again, like, I don't know, like you said that some of the girls were like crying in the bathroom after because it felt like something, you know, like that they cared for. So, have you guys seen Jane the Virgin?
Wow, I'm binging it right now. The flower, yeah.
Yeah, and then also, like, you know, it's different, like, when you get to choose versus, but I was, like, fully taken advantage of, and that's how I was introduced to everything. So, like, of course, there was the breakdown, because it's something that, you know, my whole life I kept very dear, and that's something that I wanted to choose and be like, yes, like, and so I still like am, and I'm gonna get married in the temple and all that, because, you know, hashtag doesn't count, and but it's something like
Feel that.
Because now, like, it's an awful thing, but it's helped me grow so much, so that, like, with my boyfriend and stuff, like, when I decided to stuff, it is like those fireworks, because it's something that I hold so special, like, after the time and the healing and stuff like that. And obviously I wish that was not my first experience, but it's life, and it's a trial, but I definitely can see both sides, and I think it depends a lot who it's with. And, like, I agree with the hookup culture, but, like, it's someone you care about, you know, like, it makes a huge difference, like, whether it's full on sex or, you know, just kissing and stuff like that. If it's your choice, I feel like it's just a whole lot better. But yeah.
All right, no worries.
Sorry,
Just to
follow up question. I'm curious, how, like, have we all been sexually assaulted in our lives? Like, I'm just curious if we all have.
Oh yeah,
I have.
Slightly, but they weren't LDS.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so
and I was really young. I was 14 and I didn't know what was happening.
Just curious.
All right, no worries.
Oh, yeah, I forgot a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Now thank you for sharing, ladies. Now the one, I mean, I totally understand where you guys are coming from, where the church can be very extreme to suppress something that's biologically normal as human beings, to feel those feelings and to feel those urges. That's just part of being a human. So it's like kind of go against your own biology. That can cause a lot of issues within a person. Um, but for me, like, and we all know the modern dating culture today is casual, like, have casual relationships, go out to have sex with everybody. For me, I'm a big advocate of like being very selective. Don't casually date or casually have sex. I think everything should be done with purpose. And especially for women. Um, one of the I think Amelia brought it up in the beginning of the podcast, where women have to emotionally connect with the man um, before they have sex, and a lot of women don't know this, but like I, there's a reason for women. It's really important that you guys make sure that you select a quality partner to have sex with, and not fall victim to the casual sexual culture today in America. Because biologically, what happens is when you have sex as a woman, there's these hormones that get released that makes you feel in love and make you feel happy. It's called oxytocin. So when you have sex with your partner, that hormone causes you to emotionally connect with that man. So what happens is when people have more sexual partners, what happens is that hormone or that emotional ability to connect with them decreases. So that's why sometimes you see a lot of women who like have a high body count or have a lot of sexual partners. They can't feel that love no more with the man, or sex just becomes physical. They can't really emotionally bond with the woman. So even though the church may be extreme about telling women, hey, value chastity, make sure you don't go out there, and a lot of times it can cause issues, because I think they need to improve on the on that. I think we need to have open discussions and educate women about that, so they don't feel that pressure. They don't feel that guilt or the shame. I think personally that's what the church. But I think there's a logical reason why, because because if you tend to have sex with multiple men, as a woman you're gonna lose the ability to emotionally connect, and that's why sometimes when you talk to women who've been in multiple relationships with men or have a high body count with men, they find it really hard to bond. They find it really hard to bond. So as biologically, you guys we created that when you finally have sex with a man, that hormone gets released. That hormone bonds you with that man. Now you feel love. You feel an emotional connection with them, and that's how relationships work out. But if you tend to fall victim to the culture today and have casual relationships and have multiple sexual partners, you notice that you start to lose that ability to connect with the guy. And that's why for me is like I tell women all the time, like, look, at the end of the day, it's you do whatever you do whatever you do with your body, but just if you're gonna sleep with a guy, make sure you choose a quality guy, and make sure you choose a guy that you can see your future with, because you don't want to have sex with a guy and then he's the wrong guy. He's a guy that has no intentions for you, and now you're stuck with either with a baby or might cause you trauma emotionally. So yeah, so it's kind of the church is extreme, but for me, we need to work on improving how we teach sexual education to our members, so that way they don't have all the things that you guys just mentioned in this podcast. But I've seen the opposite. I've seen women who are virgins, women who are having multiple promiscuous. Uh, the women who tend to be more promiscuous, they have a lot more problems in their life when it comes to relationship with men. So, but yeah, just wanted to add that part. So, sorry, I always like to use the biology side. I read about a lot of this stuff, so it's good information to know. All right, so Jessica, thank you for sharing that question. Um, yeah, I think, ladies, I wanted to first of all just say thank you for being open about that, because I know that's a topic that a lot of girls have, and they don't know how to recognize or how to navigate through that. So hopefully, by watching this right now, they can get some feedback with their experiences. Um, I want to ask you guys. So I guess it's back to my question, my topic. I want to ask you guys real quick. Uh, I know Jessica and Amelia are no longer with the church. Alexis and Keira, you guys within the church. What's your experience with like dating men outside the church or men within the church? Like, I'm just interested to hear. What are the what's your personal experience like? Is it I think Jessica said there's a lot of positives. So the guys at church weren't as judgmental that the guys within the church, based on her personal experience. But I don't know. I'm just interested to hear because I have those conversations all the time where a lot of girls, a lot of guys are like, they struggle with everything that we're talking about on this podcast. And you know what? I can't do it no more. I'm gonna go outside. And for a lot of them, it's a lot better. Like they prefer not to. I think one of them was like, I have one friend who's like, I am never gonna date a return missionary ever again. There's a lot of return missionary stories. So, but yeah, I want to ask you, what's your experience like? If you had one, if you didn't have experience, if all you dated within the church, that's fine as well. But I just want to get both perspective. Like, what's it like outside and within? But I know Jessica, Amelia, you guys did both. Alexis, I know you about to get engaged. But what about Keira? Did you ever try? That's how we do Keira. Did you ever date guys outside the church, or has it always been within the church?
No, I've dated a couple guys that weren't in the church, and because like I don't know, I like to base people off whether they're a good person or not, and that's who I kind of surround myself with, whether they're necessarily in the religion or not. But yeah, so I've dated a couple, but I found that since I'm very oriented in like where I want to go in my life and stuff, it has never like turned into a long-term thing. Like it's fun, get to know them, and like just kind of like end up being friends rather than actually working towards a future just because our end goals are different. Still think they're great people, but that's just been my experience.
Okay. All right, no worries. No, I know a lot of girls personally that they really want to date a guy. They want to marry a LDS member, and they don't. And then the guys, the guy out of these, so the guys, there's a limited options in the guy in the ward or in the church, and they struggle all the time because they're just trying to dating the same guys over and over and over. And I was telling them like, why don't go outside? There's so many there's so many fish in the sea. But I know personally some guys and girls like they're just like, no, I just want to date. But even though they're lucky, they're not running into like good experiences. I was like, man, why don't you just try out one time? But they're just stuck in that mentality.
That's interesting.
Amelia, go ahead, Alexis. Go ahead.
Okay.
You want to say?
Amelia, it was gonna be right after me. It's funny. I actually started the opposite way. I was like, I don't want to date in the church. I really want to date outside of the church. So I started with that, and I liked one guy for a long time, and he was older than me. He was like 7 years older than me, and I liked him for a really long time. And he used to be a member, was no longer a member. But we never like actually dated. But I'd say the first one was also a couple years older than me. He was from freshman year of college, and and like it did not last very long at all because he was like pot smoker, cigarette smoker, had no like standing for himself. No, like drive, no, like lacking all of the morals that I was just so used to and surrounded by in church settings that I was like, oh, like that's completely gone. And then there was one moment that I was like, I really want to be able to have family home evening with someone, and read scriptures with this person and have that spiritual aspect, this huge chunk of my life that was completely gone if I was dating outside of the church. And so it was between him and this other guy in the LDS church. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try LDS. I went LDS. And I got one of the two guys that we had talked about earlier. And I got the one that was like using the church against me. And it was funny because I suddenly went from being too good. I was too good for someone. Like I wouldn't sleep with him. I was too goody two shoes to being too bad. Right. I would watch rated R movies and I was too bad for them, And so that was just really weird for a long time. I was like, what is up with this? So yeah, then I moved into the better sector of LDS dating. And found out I was just like, oh, I just could never go back even if I wanted to. It's not like they're bad people. It's just like those foundational, those core things of like, you have to have like respect for yourself. And like, and I'm not saying that people that aren't in the religion don't, but like the standard for drinking and for drugs and for hookup culture and all of those little things just get checked off when they're actually LDS, because some people could say that they are and they're not, So that was just a huge thing. It's like I really want a spiritual basis, and that helped me a lot to keep my standard high for men.
Okay. All right. No worries. Thank you, Alexis, for sharing that. What's your thoughts,
Amelia.
Yeah, so I've had both good and bad experiences with both members and non-members in my dating life. When I was in my teens, I only dated non-members, mostly because like I wanted to date, but the dating pool of members where I lived, where I grew up, there weren't many guys who were members or that I was interested in. So I had some non-member boyfriends, one was a really not good guy, the other was a really great guy. And then I went on my mission, so then obviously wasn't dating anyone then. And I remember on my mission, I thought, okay, when I get home, I'm never gonna date a non-member again because like my overarching goal is to go to the temple. And obviously I can't really like do that, and I don't want to date someone with the expectation that they'll convert because that's like you don't want to date someone with the expectation that they're going to change. You want to date someone if you're ready for them there. So I was like, okay, I'm not dating any more non-members. So then I come home from my mission, I go on dates, I date members of the church, and it's good. Like I meet some good people, I meet some bad people, all these different experiences. And then I met my now boyfriend, Jay, and when I met him at the time, he wasn't a member of the church. And and so for a while I was very hesitant. I was like, I liked him, but I was like, no, like let's just be friends. Sorry. And I was in my head, I was like, I can't date him. I need to find someone else. I need to find um a priesthood holder, a member of the church who I can go to the temple with, because that was still my goal. So yeah, I put off dating him for a long time until one day I had just come off from a date with another guy, and after the date I was like, I just I just really want to hang out with Jaden right now, and I realized that I really did love him, and I was like, I don't think that I should have the church be holding me back from, or like my personal standard of dating should hold me back. So I started dating him, and then he actually ended up joining the church. Long story short, he joined the church, and so we were kind of working with that together. And yeah, we're still dating now. He's same as me. He's no longer a member of the church, but it was just really nice to kind of see all these different things, all these different decisions shape how my relationship now ended up to be. Oh, and one more thing. I realized when I was dating him, I think there's a lot of really great things that guys who are members of the church have. Just like there's good and bad for every type of person. But I remember when I was dating my boyfriend, I remember thinking one day like, man, I'm really glad that he didn't grow up in the church, because I feel like some of his views on like sexuality and things wouldn't be very healthy. Because I don't know, that's just kind of how I feel like. I feel like the church isn't super healthy in teaching about sexuality. So I remember being like glad he wasn't a member. But at the time, I was glad that he converted, because I was like, okay, now we could get rid of the temple. But yeah, so I think for me, it ended up not being finding someone who's a church member specifically, but finding someone who shared the same values as me. And we both have, kind of like you've talked about, just like these goals together, like ways we want to progress, and our purposes aligned.
All right,
So, yeah.
nice. All right. Shout out to Jaden. All right, no worries. No worries. Thank you, Amelia. Yeah, and then what about you, Jessica? What's your experience with outside, within, and within?
Definitely, like, I mean, they're similar and different in every way. I've had great experiences dating LDS people. I've had great experience dating non-LDS people. I will say, like, in my stage of life right now, I do prefer dating non-LDS. I can't really tell you exactly why. I have really enjoyed like the people that I've gone on dates with recently. Not that not that anything has really progressed in a way, but it was kind of nice. Like, it's nice to connect with somebody that doesn't have and I don't want to say it's like trauma from the church or anything, but just like has grown up in a different way than me, and that's not our identity, is just in the church, and talking about other things. about life and like where we want to go in life, and not having the church be the number one thing in the relationship, if that makes sense. But I don't know, like I've kind of taken a break from dating recently. Just because it's hard. It really is hard to date. And it's discouraging in a way, just trying to figure it out and get out there. And COVID made it very difficult as well. And I don't know, it's life, it's hard. And I've definitely like been taking more time to kind of date myself in a way, and figuring out me, and working on myself so I can be the best person for my future person. So
Queen. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries, no worries. I want to ask you, these ladies, and before we conclude the podcast, like, obviously I hear this all the time, where like, a lot of people, I want to date this perfect guy or the perfect marriage, even though like there's nothing, perfectionism doesn't exist, because we all have flaws. We're human beings. So like I think you guys mentioned that, I think Alexis, or what are the things that, like, if you are going to marry somebody or date somebody within the church, what are things that, according to you, that you can like be flexible with, and what are things that you cannot be flexible with that he has to have? Because sometimes I do meet women and guys too, like they're not flexible at all. Like he must be perfect in all spiritual aspects, and I'm like, yeah, good luck finding that guy. Either good luck finding that guy, or the guy you live is lying to you. You'll see when you get married, because like no one's perfect. We all have flaws, right? But sometimes I see people, they're just like so adamant in their standards. I'm not understanding that we're all human beings. It's not about being perfect. It's about helping each other out when we do make those mistakes. Be understanding to build each other up. But yeah, like I want to ask you guys, what are things with some people are like, you know what, I'm fine with him drinking. I could deal with that, but he can't smoke. Or okay, if he does this, then as long as he doesn't affect his life, or like he doesn't do it often, I can deal with that. So there's a variety of different things. But according to you, like what's your things that you're okay? That's okay. As long as I can be flexible with that, but I cannot be flexible with this. I'll start with you, Alexis. Like, what's your things that your guy, like, okay, if he doesn't do this because that's the expectation of the church, I can be flexible with that. That's okay, but I can't. But he has to be able to do this within the church. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, like I had kind of mentioned earlier, it's like you really pick your pain, right? You pick your poison. And that's a good thing, because everyone's got flaws, and that's kind of the beautiful part about it, And so there were, like, the very, very first night that I met my person, I gave him a huge questionnaire and a big old interrogation, because I was like, I am done with boys, and I'm not going to deal with the same problems that I know aren't going to work. And so I was like, are you insecure? What are, do you have depression? What are this tendency? This. And it's like, I can deal with insecure, but I can only deal with this kind. I can't deal with this kind, right? Like, if you can still, function as a human and like contribute to the world, and it's okay if you have like a little insecurity. That's different from someone that's just like a cup with holes in it, and you just try to pour and pour and pour into, and they just like can't. You just empty yourself out. So all these things. So something that especially applies is like I've dated with people with depression before, and it's like they'll lash out, or they'll do this, or they'll do that. I'm like, I will not never ever marry an angry man. I always said that I will never marry an angry man.
Yeah.
And so Parker has depression, but he's the sweetest soul alive. He will never yell. He will never be violent. Never. And also just like, how do they work under pressure? And so it's like, I can go crazy mode. I can be crazy, hormonal, right? Like you said, 1 a.m., packing, all these things. And he's going to say, okay, love. Yes, darling. Like, of course, baby. Like, I know. And so those are the things. It's like, I will never marry an angry man. Church-wise, I'm with someone that's very strong in the church. It's a very strong testimony, very good priesthood holder, all those things. But those were very like, crucial for me, very an important base, but it was never like, are you strong in the church? And then like, oh, I can't be with you for not. It was never that. It just ended up kind of happening that way because that's like where we really bonded, was a lot of those things. But something that I'd always would accept is growth. So like you have your low times, you have your moments, you have your waves, you have your I'm not taking sacrament today kind of a day, right? Or whatever. I am here for it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh,
you pick
okay.
your
I
pain.
mean, what are things that you could be flexible on, like like drinking, smoking, like that you be like no, like are you flexible on those, or you're not flexible?
Nope, and he's not either. He would never, and that's just nope.
No,
It's
I
not
got
gonna
you.
happen.
I got you. No, I do. I just want to add this to what you said about like never. For me, like when people say never, like especially when it comes to anger to a man, I do see a lot of women will say that like my guy will never get angry. I don't think it's about anger, never showing
Yeah.
anger, because as men we're all, like it's natural, like because we're gonna be angry. It's the most important thing is a man that's able to control his anger and doesn't lash it out on you.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah,
men really.
and I say that, but it's like I know he gets mad at me. Of course, I'm very easy to get mad at. I'm like, I want you to expel your emotion. I want you to be, free and be yourself. But he's just not the physically abusive, violent, harsh. He's very controlled peace bringer. So.
No, I had that talk with one of my close family members. Oh, my she was like explaining to her guy is like my man never gets angry. I was like, for me that's like I don't know, that's something that you should be worried about, because like I as a man I know we have anger, but it's important that we learn how to discipline it, so that way we don't lash at our partner. The guy that if he lashes on you, that's a red flag. But if he doesn't lash it on you, but you still see he's angry, but he finds a way to discipline it, that's important. All right, thank you, Alexis, for sharing that. I'll pass it on to Amelia. What's your thoughts, Amelia? What are things that you be flexible on, not flexible on, when it comes to a man?
Yeah, so because I was a member of the church when I started dating my boyfriend, and because that changed, while we were dating, some of my things did change. Like I was like before I'd be like very like no alcohol ever, but now that I'm not a member of the church, I don't really like I wouldn't be opposed to him drinking. Neither of us really drink because we just
Yeah.
aren't really that interested in it because it's like but for me, like if he were to drink once, I'd be like, oh, okay. But it just depends on how, on moderation in all things. If he were to start drinking every single day and be drunk all the time, I'd be like, all right, this is enough. You need to stop and end this. So things like that, I guess, there are some things which, like, yeah, like drinking, just as long as it's not as long as he's not an alcoholic. But you don't become an alcoholic. Like people who drink once a month are alcoholics, kind of thing. But there are some things which I'm like for example, cigarettes. I'm like, don't smoke ever because yeah, that's one of my non-negotiables, like smoking cigarettes,
Oh yeah.
tobacco cigarettes.
Yeah. Plus, like, man, have you ever smelled the breath of people who smoke cigarettes? Oh my god, I don't know how people do that. I don't know how.
Or kissed
I don't know
him.
how people like.
I ain't going back.
Like, I know it's his body, but I'm the one who has to kiss him. So
I know.
yeah.
I see couples like just kissing in public, but be smoking. I was like, oh. I was like, God bless you.
God bless you.
All right, no worries. I didn't. By the way, studies found that smoking cigarettes, cigars raises testosterone in men. Oh, I didn't know that.
Because they're not expelling it.
Yeah.
Women.
Yes. They're single.
Just make sure. All right, no worries. Keira, what's your thoughts? Flexible, not flexible.
Some of my not flexible ones, like I don't know, just Alexis said, an angry, abusive man. Nope. Even if he's like, may meet some of the things in the church, if he can't learn how to communicate, kick that man to the curb. But like, I don't know, some of my non-negotiable, like, I want my husband to, you know, come to church with me and the kids and stuff. Like, obviously, if you're sick, obviously, but like, I want someone that's gonna be a priesthood holder and like be a good example. It's like I don't want him to smoke or drink, but I understand like I'm human too. Like, I'm not gonna be like, you have to read your scriptures every single day. If you miss a prayer, divorce. You're dumped. Because like I make those mistakes too. There's times where I'm not very good at my scripture reading, and so I can't expect him to be absolutely perfect. All I want is for the strive to always be better, the progress, and then I'm a happy woman. But if you're just fine floating down, then because I'm not gonna carry you up 24/7. Not my job. I'll carry you when you're down sometimes, but if it's all the time, it's too much, broski. I already got back problems.
Yeah, you don't want a weak guy, right? You want a strong guy. You want a strong guy, right? No, I do see some guys like they cry a lot and you know they want their woman to carry them. I'm like, you gotta man up, man. You gotta man
My
up.
boyfriend's last name is Strongo.
Yeah. I think TL he had a good comment right here. I want to read out for you guys. A strong masculine man who get angry, but masculinity is protective and not abusive. So their anger are towards class values rather than directed at you. That's absolutely true. Like that's one of the things I do podcasts like on other days with men and we talk about masculinity and how to improve as men. Like I always tell guys all the time, like men who are very disciplined in their masculinity, because men realize when we love a woman, the way we love is protect. We want to protect you. And that's just how we show our love as a like we want to protect you.
Providers, protectors.
Protect you. If a guy is abusing you, like I said, he's not developing. He's not a man. Number one, and he hasn't developed his masculinity. So he hasn't controlled his emotions and his anger. Because our anger and our emotions are used to protect the people that we love. But he has to be disciplined. And sometimes when I see guys are like very young and emotions all over the place, I'm like, man, you gotta work on that because, like, was it Alexis? She said the things that they show you little now in the beginning of the relationship is gonna show a lot more when you get married and later on in the relationship. So you have to be aware of that. All right, thank you, Keira, for sharing that. And what about can your guy? I know you say you want to go to church every single Sunday. What if he was like, can I just skip one day?
Okay, even some days I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. If it's like a one day, but if it's like every single Sunday, he's like, oh, I don't want to go. But yeah, no. That's those days.
All right, cool. All right, I just wanted to ask. If you're flexible one day, just one day, like we all been through it. Like wake up, like
only if you make me pancakes in bed.
The only day I can't go Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Super Bowl Sunday. That's the only day I can't go. I'm sorry, Super Bowl. I can't go to Super Bowl Sunday. Jessica, last thoughts on the flexible, not flexible.
I mean, I would just echo everybody. I think one of my main non-flexible is just ambition. And it comes from like a previous relationship where my ex was a pilot and he was great, but that's all he wanted to do in life, and he had no ambition to do anything else. He was 30 and he had done it. Like he's done.
You said 30?
Yeah, 30.
30.
But he's like, I've traveled and I don't need anything else in life. Like I have no want to be a captain or anything. Like I'm just chilling and that's fine with me. And I was just like, like I have so much I want to do in life that just being okay with where I'm at in the moment is just not something that I want to do. So, but I echo everybody else in theirs as well.
All right. And what are things that you can be negotiable with? Okay, that's okay.
I would say I'm a very flexible person. I would say I think anything could be handled with a conversation, and being flexible that way. I don't know, like I'm very chill, laid back person that like I just believe that like anything can be handled with a conversation and deciding if to go forward or if that's just
Okay.
not a big deal, or if it is, then. But I don't have like a list of things that I'm flexible on. I guess it would just come up in the moment, but I would say I'm flexible with most things.
Okay. I have a question for Jessica and Amelia, because I think I know where Alexis and Keira stand on this before we end the podcast. Would you be okay marrying with a guy in a different religion and also be open to convert to his religion? Just wanted to ask that question. If to Amelia and Jessica, because I know Keira and Alexis, you guys are within the church, but you guys have a different perspective. Like, are you guys open to marrying a guy that has a different religion and his faith is strong in his religion, and also be open enough, you know what, to convert into his religion? But Amelia.
Let's see. For me, my boyfriend, I plan on marrying him one day. I love him a lot and I want to be with him. And like currently we do have semi-different religious beliefs. Like he believes in God, he's Christian. I would consider myself like atheist agnostic now. And so for me, I feel like we balance it really well. Like I really respect his beliefs and he really respects mine. And
Okay.
maybe one day, because I'm still kind of in that period of getting over leaving the church, maybe one day I would be open to like looking into God and things like that, what that means for me. But just like for my personal life at the moment, it's not really something that I am open to. But
Yeah.
I would be one day. But I don't know, I just feel like religion is very personal, so I
Yeah.
would have to be open. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I
That's
am
it.
right now.
Wanted to ask. What about you, Jessica? Like, would you be open to it? Like, you marry a guy, he's a good guy, good quality man, ambition, has everything you want, happens to be a different religion, and he's really into his religion. Would you be open to it?
I definitely agree with Amelia. But I would also say, like, I think it also like just depends on the religion. Like, I mean, if it's Scientology, like, no, count me out. Like, not doing that. But if it's like Buddhism or Hindu or something, like, totally, like, I'm down to learn more about that. And if it's super important to him, sure. But if it's some weird culty religion, no, I'm not gonna do that.
What, you don't want to join a cult? What?
No,
Weird.
no.
That's a good one. All right, no worries. Thank you so much, ladies. Man, we have come to the conclusion of the podcast. Thank you so much for this great conversation. We had some great conversation tonight. It flew by so fast. We covered some great topics, and I also want to give you a shout out real quick for talking about things that I know a lot of people struggle with in our church, and I know a lot of people are gonna be watching this right now, and I know it's gonna have an impact on somebody out there. So thank you, ladies. So much shout out to you.
Good job, ladies.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, ladies, I want to ask you guys real quick. What's your final thoughts on tonight's conversation? What did you get out of it? What's your take on it? And also, how can people find you? People watching this right now and they want to find you, and they want to support you, or they want to meet you, because some of you guys are single. Then how do they find you? How do they find you? I'll start with you, Jessica. What's your final thoughts on tonight's conversation, and how can they find you?
Yeah, this was great. I'm excited walking out of this with 4 new friends, and I'm excited to just like keep following each other and talking about things. But yeah, my handle is jessica.hall13 on Instagram or heyjessica13 on TikTok. I don't really know TikToks, but it's there.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Follow.
Bye. Following back.
Thank you, Jessica. I'll pass on to Alexis. What's your final thoughts, and how can people find you?
Yeah, the thing that I keep thinking about is a word of wisdom from my grandma, who really wanted to marry in a church more than anything, and she and her husband converted for her. And the day that they got sealed in the temple, right after, he was like, "I hate the church and I want nothing to do with it." And she was like, and she stayed with him for 30 years and then divorced him and remarried and is super happily married now. But the thing that she always says is, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. and that'll save you a lot of trouble. So yeah, that was what I'd say.
That.
And if you want to find me, I'm Alexis Kunzelman on Instagram and TikTok. It's a fun name to spell, so enjoy that.
Yeah. Your last name?
Kunzelman. Let's go. I followed you on TikTok, so you'll have it.
Oh yeah, I'll just look through there.
You're fine.
No worries. Thank you so much, Alexis. Keira, what's your final thoughts and how can people find you?
I don't know. I thought it was really good, and I think it's always important to see other people's views, to know that the world doesn't revolve around you, and people live different lives, and nobody will live the same exact life as you. So I think it's really good to see different people's views, like from different stages in life too. So I thought it was really good, and my Instagram is just Keira_Hamlet. And then my TikTok handle is @guysitskira.
No worries. Thank you so much, Keira. Appreciate you having on here tonight. And last but not least, Amelia, what's your final thoughts and how can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is spelled AMEEE1, like the number 1, IA. Yeah, AMEEE1IA. Anyways, and I guess my final thoughts, we didn't really bring this up, but just one thing that I was thinking about is I think that the number one best way to improve your relationship or your future relationship is first improve yourself. And so if you are feeling like you're not having a lot of luck in dating, work on yourself, like go to therapy. Honestly, therapy is going to solve so many of your childhood issues that you had so that you don't have them in relationships in the future. Yeah, just work on yourself, have trust, things are going to work out.
All right, no worries. Yeah, that's very good. Sorry, I was a believer in that. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you guys for the great conversation tonight. Those are tuning in and those who are watching, thank you so much. If you love everything we do and the content, press that like and subscribe button real quick. Do this every single Friday. On Saturdays, I do a modern dating show, very modernized dating. And then on Friday, I do a dating show where I bring people in with the more religious background and we talk about it. I think this week was LDS Mormon. I think I got some next couple of weeks. I have Christianity and Catholic. So it's just going to be interesting just to hear the different, what everybody experiences in different religions. So, but my main goal when we do this podcast is I want to bring people together. I'm a big believer in families, the foundation of family. Everything starts at home, especially if we live in a society today in America where people are no longer seeing the value in marriages. But I do believe in for a good, healthy society, we need to bring people together and build healthy marriages. So thank you so much. I'm gonna definitely post their social media handles in the bottom of this video. So if you guys want to find them, you guys want to use their LDS pickup lines, you guys know what to do. Click on that link. Click on that link and do what you do. Ladies, I want to say thank you so much for a great opportunity. And you guys have a very blessed night. Bye, ladies.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Yeah.